Hello. Welcome into episode 202 of Gridiron Dynasty, a fantasy football podcast. Turns out we actually recorded an episode at the beginning of season 2 like a month or two ago, but we're going to pretend that didn't happen because we took forever in between. And look at that. We're doing another one already. It's almost like we're back to doing weekly shit. Hi, Pat.
Hello.
I'm Tim.
How are you?
That's Pat. You guys, if you watch us, know who we are. If you don't know who we are, well,
How the heck did you find us?
also,
We need to know. We need to know.
I know a bunch of people that are probably thinking that you're very lucky if you don't know who we are.
It's fair.
Me included. I'd feel very
Okay.
lucky at that point. All right. So last week we went over the status of the league. So now we're going to actually talk into regular stuff. Now it's still going to be dynasty oriented, but it's not going to be centric around our league. We're going to go into rookie rankings. We're just going to go over quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers because the tight end class this year was doo-doo.
Like every other year.
Right. There's only one name to worry about pretty much, and that's Trey McBride, and he's not even going to be relevant this year until Zach Ertz gets hurt.
So week 4.
The only other names, Greg Dulcich, maybe in Denver if Albert Okwuegbunam doesn't play well, and the guy that the Colts drafted, I forget his name, but he's gigantic. He's like
Did
6
you
foot
study
7.
that dude's name to like get it right on this podcast? Did you like write that down and then
What,
enunciate it and then have someone else enunciate it for you?
What, Okwuegbunam?
Yeah. What the hell is that?
No, all the one podcast that I listen to, the Fantasy Footballers podcast, they talk about him a lot, and they say his name a lot, so that's how I know how to say Okwuegbunam.
Got it.
Yeah, and then, like I said, you got the Colts tight end who they drafted. I forget his name, but he's 6 foot 7. He's a gigantic dude in general. And then Jeremy Ruckert got drafted to the Jets. So he signed 2 tight ends, so they don't have to worry about Jeremy Ruckert. So it's literally Trey McBride's the only one that I'm seeing getting drafted, the only one that should be getting drafted pretty much. If there's an injury and the other ones are relevant, then good for them. But as of right now, it's just Trey McBride. So, Pat, anything you want to talk about before we jump right into it? Do you want to talk about how you and I made a trade in a different league? And
I'm just mad that you didn't pronounce my last name correctly on this show.
Patrick Smythe?
You made me a deal.
I did make you a deal.
Messed it up.
I honestly
Messed it
forgot.
up.
Okay, so I've been pronouncing Pat's last name wrong for ever since I've known him. His name is Smyth. So to any reasonable person, it's Smythe. However, it is Abraham.
Yeah, it's weird. Abraham.
No, but for real,
Patrick
it's actually
Abraham.
Smith, right? We just call you
Yeah,
Smythe.
we're just
Okay.
weird. It's okay.
Well, you spell your last name weird, to be fair.
We're weird people.
Yeah. So,
We like to be special.
yeah. Pat and I made a trade in a different dynasty league. Pat had a doo-doo season last year. I had a good season. Again, I wound up in the championship game, so I had the 11th pick. I traded that first-round pick to Pat earlier in the year, which got me Justin Jefferson. So then I needed a running back because all my running backs not good besides Joe Mixon. Pat needed a wide receiver because all his wide receivers are not good. So it's a half-point PPR league. I sent him Cooper Kupp and my very last round pick for the 101 so I could take Breece Hall. And apparently it was the subject of a debate with the trade council in that league.
I don't want Breece Hall.
I know you don't want.
that's
I know you
pretty
don't
obvious
Want, I know
in
you don't
every
want
league.
Breece Hall, but I mean, I'm a Jets fan, so I don't. It's not because I'm a Jets fan. I would be taking the 101 in this draft as the running back Breece Hall, regardless of what team he went to. There's only a couple teams that he could have went to where I wouldn't be drafting him, like the Titans, the Colts, teams like that where they have the established runner. But the Jets had Michael Carter. I don't care what people say. Breece Hall's going to be the guy. We'll get into that when we talk about him. So, just saying that Pat and I keeping up our trend of making trades with each other in leagues. So at least once a year we'll make a trade with each other. And we're
Gotta
in
make as many people mad as possible.
we're in what, 4
Might
leagues
as well
together,
go.
so
Yep.
it's gonna happen. All right, so we'll jump right into our rookie rankings. We will start with the quarterback position. Not a very sexy draft for quarterbacks by any means. There was only one drafted in the first round, and Pat's showing our list right here. Pat, if you were worried, it looks great.
All right, cool. I was a little worried, so
Yeah.
I kept making it bigger and smaller, trying to fit it in right.
So Pat and I have the same 5 quarterbacks because I'm pretty sure there were only 5 quarterbacks drafted. No, there was the kid out of
there's
Nevada.
a 6th.
The kid out of Carson Strong, right? That got drafted to the Manders.
He don't count.
Right. So it looks different, but I don't know about you, Pat, but these are pretty much not the only one. Like for me, Kenny Pickett's just ahead of the other ones because I see immediate playing time before the other ones do. In Pittsburgh, he looked decent in the first preseason game. Granted, it was against the Threes, but he looked pretty good. And he grew up in Pittsburgh. He played for college Pittsburgh. I think the Steelers are going to get him on the field. That's the only reason why I have him first. Talent-wise, for me, Malik Willis has more talent because of the arm strength. I know you were a big Desmond Ridder guy. Going into the year, you're still a big Desmond Ridder guy. He's not a terrible spot in Atlanta with Marcus Mariota ahead of him, but it's not. I don't see a big difference between most of these quarterbacks, if I'm being honest.
No, I think the top 3 are
the same,
right around the exact same thing, and then the other 2 are just whatever order you think one of them starts to play first in.
Yeah, I don't even remember where they went, to be honest with you. The last
Howell
2
was in Washington, I believe, and Corral went to the Panthers, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. I know one of them went to the Panthers, and they're going to be the third string behind Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, which, if you're the third string in that scenario, you must not be that good. So,
I mean, you're just the rookie, and they just had to pay the other 2.
Right. Another thing with Kenny Pickett, rumors are that the Steelers are looking to move Mason Rudolph. So I'm hearing from the Twitter sphere that the Lions are looking for a backup quarterback. They're going to make an offer. They're working on a trade to get Mason Rudolph from the Steelers. I don't know how factual that is. That's, like I said, from the Twitter sphere. It was from a verified account. I can't remember who it was, but
I don't think anyone put Pickett behind Mason Rudolph anyway.
No, I don't think so either. I'm just saying
it
helps with the clarity for the rest of the preseason. These next 2 games for the Pittsburgh Steelers will show a lot. Mitchell didn't look too bad either, and I was watching it with my girlfriend who is a Steelers fan, and I was telling her that's the one thing that both these quarterbacks have that the Steelers didn't have last year was a quarterback that doesn't need to stand still the entire time and get rid of the ball quickly.
Mobility.
Yeah, both of them are going to be able to extend the play, and Mitchell Trubisky really he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad either in Chicago. I believe he didn't turn the ball over in the red zone. That's the key thing here.
Did. Right. I think the situation that Pittsburgh has is one to be envied as far as being Pittsburgh, but one that sucks as far as fantasy. So you have a previous first-round pick in Mitchell Trubisky. You now have your future quarterback in Kenny Pickett, the hometown hero, and you have someone that, listen, if Mitchell Trubisky sucks in the beginning, Pickett's in. That's easy. Their fans are going to cheer from him from the bleachers. If Mitchell Trubisky's getting the job done, Pittsburgh fans are going to be happy. So it really comes down to when does that start happen? When does Trubisky fall off? When does that happen? I think Trubisky's got not so much a longer leash, but maybe more ability than Marcus Mariota. And that's where Ridder slides into my number 1 for me. I think he's got the better opportunity to start sooner. I do think Trubisky gets some sort of slack to build Pickett up to NFL level.
Yeah, and to be clear, if this wasn't Dynasty rankings, this was just a redraft rankings of these rookies, I'd have Ridder ahead of Malik Willis because I do see Ridder playing this year. I don't see Malik Willis playing this year. But I do think that Malik Willis being able to have a year to learn, even though Ryan Tannehill pretty much said it's not his job. He didn't pretty much say. He did say it's not his job to teach Malik Willis. He's going to have the year to learn. Comparing the 3 teams, comparing the Steelers to the Falcons to the Titans, I think the Steelers roster is the best out of the 3. They have the best defense out of the 3. The wide receiver situation is the best out of the 3. Their running back situation is not better than Tennessee because Tennessee has Derrick Henry, but Najee Harris is a better receiving back than Derrick Henry. So I think so. Pittsburgh's the better of the three teams as far as roster construction, followed by the Titans. Then the Falcons are behind there. That's why I have them ranked like that, because this is for Dynasty. Do I think any of these three guys are going to be top 5 fantasy quarterbacks ever in their career? No. Do I think Pickett gets into the top 10? Yeah, because of his rushing ability. But it's kind of a crapshoot. Next year's is going to be the year for quarterback rankings that are actually going to matter, per se, because you're projected to have, 4 in the first round next year? I think 4 to 5.
It's going to be a big one. It's going to be interesting. As far as team construction, the Falcons' defense is terrible, which I think will lead Ritter to be throwing the ball more often for several years to come. If Calvin Ridley can stop gambling on himself and Kyle Pitts can be a tight end that he was supposed to be, you have Drake London coming up, who really knows what he's going to be. But you also have to imagine that Atlanta's going to pick early again this year. I don't think there's anyone that thinks Atlanta's not going to pick early again next year. And that's your chance to build an offensive line and construct something. What do they do? Who knows? It's Atlanta. But that's my opinion of the situation, is that he's going to be throwing the ball and relied on more than even Malik Willis, who's going to have Derrick Henry behind him. You see how that offense goes. That offense doesn't run through their quarterback. The offense runs through their running back. How long does Derrick Henry last? Who knows? They're already talking about drafting replacements and everything else, but it's Derrick Henry. So as long as he's there, it's a Derrick Henry show, in my opinion. And that's why Willis drops down.
It makes sense to me. I mean, like I said, like Pat said, the top 3 are the top 3. They're kind of interchangeable. It's kind of a toss-up. We're not going to have a Tim-Pat debate over rankings right there. I'm not even going to touch the Howell and Corral part, because
we had to fill in a 4 and a 5.
Right.
It was required for our sheet.
There. I don't actually. I said Carson Strong got drafted by the Commanders. I don't even know who Carson Strong got actually drafted by. Was it the Eagles? I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't even know. But that was the 6th quarterback drafted in this class. So I don't even know where he went. I'm not worried about the bottom 3 quarterbacks from this draft class. So we'll move on to running backs then, if you're all set with QBs.
Let's do it.
Okay. As you can tell, there's 3 that are ahead of everyone else, and I don't know about you, but that's a break for me in the running backs. Like, there's tiers. So for me, Breece Hall's the first tier, Kenneth Walker and Dameon Pierce are tier number 2, followed by everything else as far as running backs. And Breece Hall, obviously, because he was the first drafted running back, he has the clearest path to touches. Kenneth Walker currently is going under a procedure, where Pete Carroll said that it's not so, I don't want to say it's not like important, but it's not going to affect him that much. But Pete Carroll's also like the most optimistic coach in the world. So
because he's 80,
right.
So you know.
So Kenneth Walker, he's still going to be the second one on my board, but yeah, Breece Hall is the unquestioned 101 in rookie drafts. There shouldn't be anyone getting drafted ahead of him in rookie drafts, in my opinion. He's going to get all the touches in New York.
I almost think there's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and then tier 4, and it breaks down Breece Hall, Ken Walker, Dameon Pierce. Pierce is a volume guy.
He's not in a good situation, but he's going to get a lot of touches.
I don't. He's not rated that high. Speed factor is not there.
He looked good in his first preseason game, though.
He did, but again, preseason is preseason, and it's the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
Let's not jump into things. But I think Breece Hall is that clear number 1. Ken Walker is the clear number 2, and Pierce based off of early volume. I honestly think after that, you got to play the who's going to last longer. Pierce has the most obvious people who are just going to leave. Rex Burkhead, Marlon Mack. That's names. That's not stiff competition. And that's basically where my RB4 differs from yours significantly, because I don't know
Mhm.
where you had him, but I don't think Cordell Patterson's the running back of the future, and that leaves no one.
I agree that there's no
No
one
one.
there. It's just Tyler Algier was drafted what, the 5th or 6th round?
uh, Great question.
It
I
was
spent no time watching the NFL draft this
I
year.
believe he was a day 3 pick. It's just hard for a bad offense to rank a running back on a bad offense ahead of someone like James Cook, who I was also, I think, a day 3 pick. He might have been a day 2 pick, but if he was a day 3 pick, he went to a much better offense. So that's why I have James Cook at RB4. And I also have Isaiah Spiller ahead of Tyler Algier. I know Isaiah Spiller has Austin Eckler
Austin
ahead of
Eckler.
him, but Austin Eckler's been getting a lot of work. He's gonna wear down at some point, and they've been trying to find a backup for Austin Eckler for a while, like a suitable one. So they took one of the best running backs in the draft. I'm pretty sure Isaiah Spiller was the number 3 back going into this draft, and he went to the Chargers, and I think he's gonna spell Austin Eckler for a bit. I, I, the early work that Tyler Algier is gonna get is great. However, I don't know if it's going to be enough where they don't address running back in the draft next year either. So that's why I have Algier outside of. I think I have him at RB7 for rookies for me.
The other thing I got to look at is they're probably going to give him a chance this year.
Right.
Cordell Patterson you can throw out. So if he steps up, makes it, awesome. If he doesn't, that's why that's the bottom tier. That's why again, just like quarterback this year, it falls off there. For me at least, I'll be interested to see what Spiller does with that situation with Eckler, with everything else that's going on there. You've seen backups from the Chargers have really great weeks. So again, that usually is an Eckler injury moment. So more of a split backfield, more questionable fantasy relevance. Does he put up points? Does he put up points consistently? What happens there? That's my thing. I think I put James Cook ahead of him because I think coming down the line, he's going to get the job. Devin Singletary is not going to hold that forever. He barely held it last year.
Right. That's
And
why
he
I
was
have
going up
Cook at
against
4.
Matt Breida.
Yeah, that's why I have
Like,
Cook at 4.
come on.
Because I don't believe that the Bills are gonna be relying on Singletary. They tried to sign J.D. McKissick this offseason. The Commanders re-signed him instead. James Cook, I think, is going to get immediate work as the third down back for this team, and then he has the opportunity to then supplant Singletary as the actual lead back. So I see an opportunity for Cook, just like you see the opportunity for Algier to take over for Cordero. I see the opportunity for Cook to take over for Singletary. And I'd rather have the running back for the Buffalo Bills offense than I'd rather have the running back for the Atlanta Falcons. The Bills don't
Yes,
utilize their
unfortunately,
running
Josh
back.
Allen's not available, so you can't really have the running back for that team.
Right. Well, I get that completely. Still, more scoring opportunities will be coming from the Bills. James Cook is a very good pass catching back. Tyler Algier, I'm gonna be honest here, I don't know how he is as a pass catching back. I'm assuming he's adequate.
I assume we're gonna find out.
Right.
that's my. I grabbed him in your league. He's on the watch list and some others. It's just gonna be interesting. Most people are kind of writing him off because of how late he was, but I think he gets his shots. And does he make the most out of them? Maybe. But one of the things in Dynasty, especially when you're drafting in those later rounds where you're just taking a dart and throwing it at the wall, is you pick people with high upside, and if they don't make it, they're not on your keeper list anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you see what comes of that, but he is there for me for now, at least.
Yeah, so we just went through because we briefly touched on tight ends, the 3 weakest parts of the rookie class. The quarterbacks and the running backs were not amazing. You had Breece Hall and Ken Walker were the 2 big names coming out for running backs. Wide receivers, where this rookie class has a chance to exceptionally shine with how deep it was. But before we go over there's one person, running backs, that I do want to touch on because of all the hype he's been getting. Currently, I do have him at RB6 because of just for the fact that he has the potential to take over on one of the most high-powered offenses that the NFL's seen recently, and that's Isaiah Pacheco, the running back for Kansas City. He's been getting some run with the ones. He's been getting some run with kick returns. He's all over the place, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been a disappointment, to say the least. He's been hurt, but when he's been playing, he hasn't been great. And then you got this Isaiah Pacheco kid who Chiefs love, from what I've been hearing. All the beat writers are hyping him up. That's why I have him at RB6 and I don't have him inside the top 5, because he doesn't have that job yet. We'll see with these preseason games. He starts playing with the ones during the preseason games. He's pushing for RB3 then, just for the situation he's in. I'd rather have Pacheco in Kansas City than Pierce in Houston.
I get that. Again, and it could be the person, but you haven't seen large success come out of a running back in that offense in some time either.
Last one was Kareem Hunt, really.
Right, and that's... You look at that was the first couple of games he exploded, and then a little bit down to earth. Because very much like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes likes to do stuff by himself on his feet. They have those fun sets in the red zone, which sometimes lead to running back success, or sometimes Travis Kelce's running the ball into the end zone while backflipping over Tyreek Hill, who's not there anymore, but the next guy up, he'll backflip over that guy. So you never really know what you're going to see in Kansas City. Teams get inside the 2-yard line, and it's a handoff to your running back. Kansas City gets inside the 2-yard line, and they're running a 5-wide set. And you're like, wait, there's not even a running back on the field. Wait, the running back's playing center. Wait, what is happening? And this is why the Kansas City offense is one of the hardest to predict in far as fantasy, outside of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce being super relevant. But that's definitely a name to watch. But I would want to see how utilization works, because I've made my mistake of putting Kansas City running backs inside the top 5 before, to watch them not get the ball in running situations.
You and I were on the same page. When CEH got drafted, I had him in as a top running back, because he was the first running back really since Kareem Hunt for that team. So it's like, oh, okay, he's a pass catching back coming out of LSU. He's going to be catching the ball, right? No, we're not going to use him for that role. Well, why the hell not? Because I'm Andy Reid and I do what I want. Okay, it works. So, but
it works, right? Exactly.
It's just Pacheco's the name to monitor, is what I'm saying. That's why I don't have him in the top 5, because he's not there yet. He's number 6 for me on my board. I just wanted to bring him up because, like I said, in these next 2 preseason games, if he starts getting some runs with the ones and he looks good with Patrick Mahomes, move him up on your boards and prioritize him. We
also talked about Dynasty, late round, dart throw.
The Pacheco.
If you're sitting there and you have Pacheco and a whole bunch of nothingness else, because running back, again, super shallow, and you're looking for, hey, if one of my running backs goes down, am I going to have someone to be a backup? Maybe you have CEH for some strange reason and you want to have the handcuff. Yeah, right? That's the face. That's definitely the face. Maybe you kept 17 people. I don't know your life.
Ew.
But, yeah, well, still you might drop them. But maybe you have them. And maybe you want to make sure that you grab the backup that will more than likely replace him by the end of the year. Because unless he shows that he is completely evolved out of what he was last year, he couldn't even run downhill. He could not run downhill. And if you can't run downhill, well, then they're definitely not going to hand you off the ball at the 2-yard line. They're going to come up with a crazy play, and they're going to throw it over their head to Travis Kelce. It's just life. So monitor the name. You get a late round flyer, throw it.
Right. So now we'll move on to the deep position. Like I said, wide receiver was incredibly deep in this draft class, and I had a hard time picking just 5. Like my 5 and my number 6, I have been going back and forth on, and I'm still going back and forth on right now, and I kind of want to change it again. I kind of want to put Pickens back into my top 5, because
I can't see him out of the top 5. You see where he is on my board. You see where he is on that board.
He's been an absolute monster in training camp. And
he was an absolute monster in college.
That catch in that preseason game, I know it's preseason. However, that looks like a seasoned veteran making that catch in the corner of the end zone from a pass. Mason Rudolph somehow threw a dime first of all. And then somehow George Pickens made this catch looking like he's been in the league for 5 years. He's a monster. I don't know why he fell as late he did in the actual NFL draft, but the one thing you got to know what the Steelers know how to draft with wide receivers. They drafted Antonio Brown in the 6th or 7th round. They drafted Deontay Johnson late. They drafted Chase Claypool in the 2nd round. Chase Claypool, he may have maturity issues, but the dude balled out his rookie season. That's the thing with the Steelers. They know what they're doing when it comes to drafting wide receivers. Hines Ward was a draft pick by them. Mike Wallace they drafted. They know what they're doing in their scouting department when it comes to wide receivers. So George Pickens, I'm talking myself into it even more that he's over Treylon Burks.
I think that's a no-brainer. But
yes.
then again, I have him second, so
right,
that should be obvious.
I know why you have.
You can't watch college football, watch Georgia, and not want George Pickens in your top 5. Just the way he played.
He's a big dude. He's just big. He plays physical. He plays fast. He was playing in college like a pro. I don't understand why he fell to the Steelers in the 3rd round. I think Pickens went, or the 2nd round. He's not someone that should have fell. Like Elijah Moore last year shouldn't have fell to the Jets in the 2nd round, but he did. These things happen, but Pickens is just Pickens is. It says Treylon Burks on there, but it's Pickens. Okay, like I don't know what
your eyes and pretend.
Yeah, just pretend it says George Pickens. Okay.
Where's the whiteout?
So that's one of the names that was on Pat's list that wasn't on mine that I wanted to address before we did this. Because we're going to talk about the other ones. One that's on my list that's not on Pat's is Jamison Williams. Jamison Williams' impact this year is going to be minimal to none, depending on how he recovers from the ACL injury. I understand the hesitation to rely on him in the future. One, he went to Detroit. Detroit is not historically a great place to be for fantasy relevance, besides Calvin Johnson and Amon-Ra St. Brown last year. Marvin Jones had a few seasons where he was looking good too, Golden Tate, but I had Jamison Williams as my favorite wide receiver going into the regular draft as it was. If it weren't for him getting hurt in the national championship game, I think Jamison Williams gets drafted before Drake London does. I don't think Drake London is the number 1 wide receiver taken off the board. I think it's Jamison Williams, and I think it's Jamison Williams earlier than Drake London was taken. I think if the ACL injury is obviously scary, it's your knee, it's your wide receiver, you're cutting, you're pushing off. Yeah, I get it. But I like Jamison Williams for the future. I think he's going to be a great wide receiver. He's from Alabama. Alabama knows how to make wide receivers. They know how to breed them. I don't know what they do. But that's just, I like Jamison Williams.
I think my problem with Jamison Williams is that I have to admit that Jared Goff can throw the ball to more than one person. Or to one person. Or at all. And I don't like any of those things as missions. So when you're looking at where do you rank a wide receiver, I think this class is so deep that missing a year is significant. That having minimal impact for even 1 year is going to make an impact on long-term point value. And I think it is one of the worst landing spots that you could have possibly gotten. I think if he landed in Atlanta, he's probably sitting at number 3 where Drake London is for me. But landing in Detroit is just a death sentence. Every other wide receiver you listed had great years with Matthew Stafford. Amon-Ra St. Brown being the exception, who played great last year because Jared Goff finally figured out, if I just throw the ball to that dude, he's probably going to catch it. And from experience, when Jared Goff finds that one dude, he's just going to keep throwing it to him. That's the problem. And then eventually they're going to figure that out. They're going to double team that guy. He's going to throw it over the other guy's head, and they're going to drop him. So who comes in after that is going to be your value. I don't think Jared Goff is the quarterback of the future. So Detroit's probably addressing their quarterback issue very quickly
in the draft,
because
probably.
Jared Goff's going to have this year, and they've already made that blatantly obvious. Jared Goff's going to have this year because of how deep that quarterback draft class is next year. And if Jared Goff has a normal Jared Goff year, they'll be picking in the top 10 again. So they can get that quarterback. And I think Jared Goff's going to have a very Jared Goff type year. And he doesn't have the defense or the running game to bail him out of being Jared Goff. And he's Jared Goff.
Right.
I don't know if I mentioned that.
Pat,
So
for the
that's
record, if you don't know, Pat is a Rams fan. So while I agree that Jared Goff is not the best quarterback in the league, Pat also has some choice words
we didn't
for him
score any points
in the
the Super Bowl.
It's okay. You won a Super Bowl last year. Relax.
Thank you, Matthew Stafford.
I don't know what a Super Bowl is,
who
Patrick.
would probably make Jamison Williams a great wide receiver.
I don't know.
Unfortunately, he's on the Rams.
I don't know what a Super Bowl is. I don't want to hear it.
We'll figure it out at some point. 30 years from now.
Our quarterback's too busy banging moms, okay?
I said 30. Then he'll be the dad. It's fine.
Oh, my God. All right,
Looking up the list, as you already mentioned, Sky Moore, number 1 for me.
He's to be fair, he's like right on the outside. These are very tough to rank, the wide receivers, how deep it is.
Sky Moore is excellent after the catch. He's got great speed. And if there's one thing that Patrick Mahomes loves, it's throwing it to people who can just run and then keep running after they catch the ball.
He likes that.
And that's Sky Moore for me. So I think that's a beautiful situation to come into. Obviously, they're going to put Juju out there. They're going to put MVS out there.
No more speed.
I don't care about either one of them. I don't know how to put that nicely, but anyone who's watched this over the years knows my opinion of Juju. Rhymes with Juju, sounds like doo-doo. And then, of course, there's MVS, who was okay on the Packers, had his moments on the Packers. He's not that guy. So someone's going to be that guy.
They paid him to be that guy for whatever reason.
Of course. Where does Sky Moore come from?
Western Michigan.
Central Michigan.
I was close.
Who else came from Central Michigan?
Tyreek Hill.
Come
Antonio Brown.
You know I'm a fanboy. Antonio Brown. So when you got that kind of comparison from me and you got Sky Moore sitting there, make him my number 1.
And I get it. I believe in Juju a little bit more than you do in this offense. I understand the Sky Moore. They drafted him in round 2. It's high investment on a wide receiver. This class, again, being as deep as it was. Sky Moore could be in my top 5 too. It's just it's not a lot of difference between 1 through 8 pretty much on wide receivers for me. Drake London I have at number 1, you have at number 3. We both have him inside the top 5. And that's for the obvious reason of the fact that he's going to get work really, really, really early, meaning he's the number 1 wide receiver for this team. So he's going to be the alpha on this team with Kyle Pitts. He's going to get all the work on the outside. He's going to get the ball thrown to him by Mariota. How well it's going to get thrown to him, I don't know. It's probably not going to get thrown to him all that well. He's going to get the targets, though, and when there's targets comes receptions most of the time, and when there's reception comes yards, and then there comes touchdowns. Drake London, he's not the separator. He's not the speed guy. He is the contested catch guy, so that makes me believe that he could have between 8 to 10 touchdowns. He has 8 to 10 touchdowns in his rookie season. That's good. That's going to give you a wide receiver 3 in most leagues, even if he has terrible yardage years. So that's why I have him at number 1, is the immediate impact that he's going to bring to the team. And then I think he's going to have sustained impact. Even with if Desmond Ridder takes over, he's going to have sustained impact after that too. So
I like Desmond Ridder over Mariota, so that's an easy argument for you to win.
Yeah.
Because I think that's an upgrade with the arm. I don't think Marcus Mariota has any sort of relevance with his arm. In Mariota's case, targets lead to interceptions, and then interceptions lead to Desmond Ridder coming in, and then that leads to Drake London's stock coming up. Yeah. So I again, he's at 3 for me. You've heard my argument with the first 2, so that's just a feeling. I think Drake London is definitely in your top area. If that's who you want, take him. For me, when it comes to this class of wide receivers, it's take the one that you think is going to be number one. And as you see, there's probably 3 or 4 guys who could be that number one, as far as I'm concerned. I think outside of that, you're outside of that. I don't like Treylon Burks. Sorry.
It's immediate again, same thing as Drake London, immediate opportunity type of thing. He's gonna go in. He's not gonna be the wide receiver one. The wide receiver one's gonna be Robert Woods, but Treylon Burks is gonna get on the field. He's gonna play if he can get his conditioning correct and his asthma under control, which has been a problem for him in the training camp so far. But I'm not gonna talk too much about Treylon Burks because he gets harped on a lot by other people. He's got talent. Arkansas,
He's got upside.
He's got upside. Yeah, all these wide receivers.
What team is he on? What team is he on?
The run first Tennessee Titans,
who are gonna at some point put in Malik Willis, who's a what? A run first quarterback. Great. Yes.
He's got a cannon.
You're the number. Yeah, he does have a cannon. I will give you that.
He has a cannon.
When the cannon fires, where does it go?
Yeah,
so that's we're gonna find out. I do think we're gonna find out at some point.
Don't the cannons usually fire in Tampa?
Well, maybe they'll play there and he can start. It was a mediocre joke, but I'll give it to you. It's not bad. You're still giggling about it, which is not good. You should not be giggling about that.
I'm not giggling.
You
I'm
should
smirking.
not. You're smirking, and inside you're giggling. I don't like it.
No, I'm giggling because I farted, and I didn't know if the mic picked up on it or not. So that's why
it may have. I don't know. We'll listen back later.
Yes. So all you at home, comment down below if you heard the fart.
Find out.
If you heard the fart, say it.
Right around wide receiver 3 time. Oddly enough, with all our different rankings, we have the same wide receiver 4.
Mm-hmm.
And we both put him in the same spot, which I think says a lot to exactly where his value is.
Because it's Chris Olave. I love Chris Olave. Great wide receiver coming out. The 2 Ohio State wide receivers I have back-to-back. I have Garrett Wilson ahead of him because I... Oh, okay, listen.
I'm the Jets.
I'm a Jets fan. I'm going to like Garrett Wilson more, okay? Just give me a break.
Which is dumb.
Shut up. So then Chris Olave. So Chris Olave, I love the situation he's in. I love that he's in New Orleans. You know, because
no arguments.
Michael Thomas has a problem of 1, staying healthy, and 2, when he gets hurt, actually getting the procedures done that he needs to so he can get back on the field.
And then 3, he's got an attitude issue, which is not going to help.
Absolutely. And then you have Jameis Winston is not the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm not going to say he's not the worst quarterback in the NFL because sometimes it's hard to tell. But the one thing he likes to do is throw the football. He broke the record for most interceptions in a season while still throwing for over 30 touchdown passes in the exact same season.
He had the same amount.
Yeah, what was he? 30 interceptions, 30 touchdowns was?
Yep.
Yeah. So he's in a good spot, Chris Olave. It's just it's going to be a lot of boom or bust for him, and that's why I have him at 4. If it was something that's going to be more consistent, I would move him up.
Yep. I have taken my long shot dart throw bet play on Jameis Winston leading the NFL in total passing yards this year, mainly because it's gone off at 40-1. And I think with Kamara out of the backfield, Olave there, if Michael Thomas can stay healthy, and Jameis Winston loves to throw the football. He loves to. Mm-hmm. Where's it going to go? We don't know, but interceptions don't count as negative yards, so it's okay.
And we're not talking about Jameis Winston right now because then we get negative points. We're talking about Chris Olave.
Right.
So what that means...
We don't have to worry about that. He can't throw an interception.
So here's what happens. Jameis throws an interception. The team scores a touchdown. Jameis is going to throw the ball some more because they're losing.
And we hope that goes to a Saints wide receiver this time.
Now, as far as Chris Olave's ranking goes, if this was a best ball league, I'd have him in my top 2 for the fact of the boom or bust. You know, in best ball, you like those volatile players.
And you look at how Jameis started last season. He was playing great before he got hurt. Mm-hmm. He was playing great. So if he gets back to that, and he had no wide receivers when he was playing great. So if he gets back to that, if Michael Thomas stays on the field, you always have Kamara back there. Olave is going to be that overlooked player. And that is a strong part of an offense, is that player who's not getting 4 people covering him. Especially for someone who loves to throw interceptions, if he knows that there's one-on-one coverage with someone every single time versus double, triple coverage, he's only going to force it in there 3 or 4 times, and then the rest of the times he's going to go ahead and throw that one-on-one coverage. After like 2 or 3 interceptions in triple coverage. So we'll see what he makes of it, but I like that landing spot a lot for Olave. I had him higher on my list for a while, but long term I like the other players better. So he faded into number 4.
And then also you have someone like George Pickens, who probably started out lower and has gradually moved his way up based on training camp and what he's been doing.
Yeah, he started at 5 for me, and just watching him play, remembering the inconsistency of health in the Pittsburgh offense, remembering that if Deontay Johnson drops the ball 355 times this year, that at some point Mike Tomlin's going to be like, no, I have this guy. We're going to feature this guy. And I don't know if it's a true thing, but it always feels like a rookie connection establishes in training camps and stuff like that. So when you have that rookie QB coming in and you have that rookie wide receiver coming in, it just feels like they're both the new guys in the room and they find each other a little bit more. And I'll be interested to see how that comes about also once you have Kenny Pickett starting.
Yeah, no. I just don't think Pittsburgh is going to favor Pickens over Deontay. I think it'll be Pickens over Claypool for the fact of the matter that they gave Deontay that extension when they don't historically pay receivers ever, and they went and actually paid him. So I think
Deontay's always getting 10 targets.
Yeah, Deontay.
No problem admitting that. Deontay's always getting 10 targets. But
what a steal he was for them.
Who gets those contested touchdown throws?
Not the guy.
If Pickens keeps playing like that in the end zone, if Pickens keeps winning those battles, it'll be fun.
Yeah, no, it's the Claypool maturity thing. If he's not being mature on the field, I see him getting benched for George Pickens, especially Pickens balling out.
I think all 3 of them play in 3 wide receiver sets, and I think Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Will use 3 wide receiver sets.
Yeah, they'll
Deontay Johnson can move all over the field, so he'll run slot, he'll run outside, he'll run wherever the hell he can.
Agreed.
They'll move him around to open him up. So if you show some versatility, George Pickens, you're in even faster.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Claypool's always going to play that outside role. So we'll see how it breaks out during the year, but it's a way upside for me. And then at the end, you obviously have a little bit of a crapshoot there, as you keep changing your mind. I have Jalen Tolbert.
I like Jalen Tolbert. Again, he's like I said, wide receivers 1 through 8 for me are pretty closely ranked. I'm pretty sure Tolbert's my wide receiver 8. Great landing spot.
Plenty of opportunity. Michael Gallup. He did somehow start running routes today at practice. Michael Gallup tore his ACL week 16 last year, and he's already running routes. Good for him. If you can get back from that injury that quickly, good for you. But I still don't think I think he's going to start the year on the PUP list. There's no way you hurt your ACL that late in the year and start the season. Yeah, running routes doesn't mean taking contact.
Right.
It doesn't mean making hard cuts. It means
it's progress.
You're on the field moving, which is awesome.
It's great progress.
Listen, Michael Thomas was on the field moving at the beginning of last year also. He played exactly 0 plays. No, I think he played a couple. Didn't he get him for like 2 weeks and then he was instantly hurt again, or did he never play at all? I don't even remember. He was on my roster, and I don't remember. That's how much impact he had. So running routes at the beginning of the year doesn't show how your body's going to react to those routes. Obviously, teams love to be optimistic. Teams don't like to say he ran routes today. He felt like shit. He's never coming back on the field again.
Right.
He was running routes today. We'll see how he feels tomorrow. And then there's no report tomorrow. Awesome. Thank you. So I think a PUP list is fairly easy to imagine there.
Which means Tolbert now is your wide receiver 2 in a high-powered Dallas offense, because there's no shot James Washington's your wide receiver 2.
Oh, and I had a fun time watching Get Up, where they were talking about if the Cowboys offense runs through Ezekiel Elliott again, you might as well just give up the season. And I agree. So here we are. I do think they're going to throw the ball more this year, and that opens up many routes, including Jalen Tolbert.
Right. So what I think Dallas is going to do this year, based off the stuff I read, is to start the year, you're going to have CeeDee Lamb, stud, Jalen Tolbert on the other side, and then their slot is going to be Tony Pollard, their running back that comes in and spells Ezekiel Elliott. Jerry Jones has hinted that this can be a team that runs through Ezekiel Elliott, but that doesn't mean that Tony Pollard doesn't have to be on the field. Tony Pollard's going to be on the field all over the formation for them, and that's going to help the outside wide receiver, because you have two running backs on the field you have to worry about. You have to worry about, are they going to run it, or are they going to pitch it, what are they going to do with these running backs, which means that it's going to help CeeDee Lamb, and it's going to help.
Quarterback runs also.
Right, yeah. Dak doesn't run as much since he got hurt. He didn't run that much last year. I don't know if it was the year after the injury hesitation or not, but I do think that Jalen Tolbert's going to have a good year this year on the outside, and it's going to make it very hard for them to put Michael Gallup back into the starting lineup. I know they paid Michael Gallup this offseason to come back, but I still think Jalen Tolbert is going to be the guy for the first 6 games, and if he in the first 6 games is playing well, it's kind of hard to take the guy off the field, especially if the Cowboys start the year off 4-2, 5-1, something like that. It's going to be hard to take that chemistry off the field,
like the Cowboys usually do.
Yeah, they start off very strong.
Remember that they usually start off very strong. So, high-powered offense always has been. Don't think that's going to change now. CeeDee Lamb is a monster, and that's awesome because that draws double coverage and safety help. Ezekiel, it still has some power ability when he runs. He can still run through things when they hand it off to him.
He's got the nose for the end zone still.
And then you got Tony Pollard everywhere. So
I like Tony Pollard this year.
Yeah, the interesting look will be to see what they do with that running back situation. If Pollard's on the field more often, then that means Ezekiel can't sit every third drive like he has been doing for every year of his career so far. Third drive has always belonged to Tony Pollard. As has every passing situation. If Tony Pollard's already on the field, Ezekiel has to still be on the field. You would think.
Yeah.
And catch. We've seen him catch. So we know the abilities there out of the backfield. And then what develops from that, if you start off the season hot again, you got to run with it. So I like Jalen Tolbert, and I don't think Michael Gallup's a guy of the future either. So I think there's a solid stepping stone building block for Jalen Tolbert. He starts off this season strong, and he can continue through that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, 1 through 8, very fluid. A lot of moving around. So this is probably one of the deepest wide receiver classes we've seen in a few years. Last year's was good. This one's even deeper. You're going to have a lot of players playing well, wide receivers, rookies. And historically, if you're drafted within the first 2 to 3 rounds of the NFL draft, you have a pretty good rookie season. That used to not be the case, but the mold was broken a couple years ago and it's just been continuing with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase last year. Elijah Moore to an extent last year. You got guys that will perform this year, and there's going to be ones that kind of come out of nowhere and perform, which is good too. It's great when that happens. But these are the guys that we think. Treylon Burks, first-round pick. That's the only reason why he's in my top 8. He's a first-round pick. He's going to get work. He's going to get used by the Titans once he gets his conditioning and his asthma under control. So when there's opportunity, there comes fantasy points. But yeah, that's... Anything else you want to touch on while we're talking about rookies?
No, I think that pretty much runs them out. Again, it's not a big year outside of wide receiver. So for people drafting in the first 2 rounds, don't overthink your life. Don't overthink your life. Don't reach for a running back. It's not going to be everything.
Correct.
Get your guy at your spot and run with it. And if you don't like the guy at your spot, trade it. Preferably to a Jets fan for a Rams player. If that doesn't fit in perfectly, I don't know what does.
Yeah, no, that was
We should
absolutely.
just put that in the list. Yeah, he's trading the Jets running back for the Rams wide receiver. This makes sense for them. Let's just go ahead and push that
It's
through.
100% what it is.
Uh,
Um, so I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit here, Pat.
I like the spot.
Okay, give me one deep sleeper. Doesn't have to be a rookie.
Deep sleeper. How deep you want?
Title your sex tape.
Oh, doesn't go that deep. Also, the title of my sex tape, by the way.
By the way, I don't know
So
if Bill told you, but I just started watching that recently
that's a great
for the
show.
first time ever. I'm like
Great
through.
show.
I know I just said I just started recently, but I have a problem when it starts binging stuff. I'm already like halfway through season 6, so I'm almost done with it because it's only 8 seasons.
Yeah, and the last season was but
Really?
yeah, it's disappointing. The last season of every show is because you want a giant ass finish, you never get that. Especially when you know it's going to be the last season. Shows that just end, it's like, oh, okay, well, it's fine. Except The Sopranos, that was terrible.
Oh my
But think about the
God.
last season of every show you've ever loved. It sucked. I'm
Mhm.
sorry to break it to you. It sucked. The last season always sucks.
Yeah.
Scrubs, remember when they did a last season? That was dumb because the original last season actually wasn't that bad.
I liked the last season.
Which one?
The one where they
When
have
they
like the
weren't even there?
no, the one like where they have the montage at the end with JD leaving
Yeah,
the
that
hospital.
was supposed to be the last season. There's another one.
That doesn't
Go
exist.
watch it. You want to be
It's
depressed?
like
Go watch
that
it.
it's like that Shazam movie with Sinbad. It just doesn't exist anymore.
Too late. That one does exist. It's still on Hulu. Go watch it. You'll be disappointed. You'll never feel happy with yourself
Okay.
again.
By the way,
Like,
I know we're really going off topic here, but we were just talking about this at my brother's house. Do you remember there being a movie called Shazam where
no,
Sinbad
there
plays
is
a
no
genie?
movie. No, never existed.
It did
There was
exist.
Kazam. It did not. There's
It did.
Kazam.
Why do
Stop
I
it.
see videos of Shazam wearing fucking genie outfit?
Because people put it on him. And it's Sinbad wearing a genie outfit, not Shazam wearing a genie outfit. Shazam was Sinbad.
Whatever.
Not important.
Okay. Give me your deep sleeper.
Deep sleeper, person who's probably not on your list as person that you're staring at. But shallow position, Hayden Hurst. You said not rookie, so I'm going to go ahead and run with that.
That's fine.
He slots into the CJ Who's Your Mama role. And I love the CJ Who's Your Mama role. I will miss not saying his name often. I don't even remember where he went, so
CJ
I won't say his
Uzomah?
name. Yeah, where'd he go?
The Jets.
He's not on Cincy anymore. Oh, is that where he went? Oh, see,
Yeah.
I'll never get to say his name again. Damn it.
Yeah, he
How
signed a
depressing that
contract.
he's-
The Jets signed him and Tyler Conklin, and then
Oh,
drafted Jeremy Ruckert.
great. So all of their tight ends are worthless. Fantastic. High-powered offense that's going to continue to be high-powered. Hayden Hurst has always been that player that you thought was going to break out. He's always been that second guy. Now he's the first guy. CJ had a couple of big weeks. It'll be interesting to see how that entire offense breaks out, but I do think there's big week opportunities in there for him. Joe Burrow uses his tight ends in about 4 situations during the game, and usually 2 of those are in the end zone. And if you can grab a touchdown in a game, the other wide receivers are going to put up their 15, 20 points because they're going to get their 7 targets. But if you're looking for that one moment in the end zone, Joe Burrow does like his tight ends in that situation. So Hayden Hurst strikes me as that type of player who can contribute to a team in a position that doesn't see a lot of contribution.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's funny. My deep sleeper's also a tight end because it's a shallow position. I went with Austin Hooper. He's another guy where like everyone's saying he's gonna break out. He's gonna break out. He had one good year in Atlanta, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's gonna get the bag," which he did from Cleveland, and then didn't do anything. But he got signed by the Tennessee Titans. They had a void to be filled at tight end last year when Jonnu Smith left. Again, AJ Brown's gone. You need someone to step up on that team to catch the ball besides Robert Woods and Treylon Burks. Tannehill likes throwing to the tight end. He liked throwing to Jonnu Smith. So Austin Hooper is a deep sleeper. Someone that you put on your watch list, not someone you draft. And I don't think Pat's telling you to draft Hayden Hurst either. I think Pat's telling you to put him on your watch list. That's what these guys are to us. It's a shallow position. If Austin Hooper performs like Austin Hooper did, 4 years ago in Atlanta, or even somewhere near there, he was a top 5 tight end. He's got the ability to do it. It's just whether or not the team has him do it. But yeah, no, Austin Hooper in Tennessee's not a terrible option to look at.
I think both of those players have the same upside. Their
It's literally the
quarterback
same
likes
thing.
throwing to tight ends in the end zone.
It's literally
That's
the
what
same
it.
thing.
Their quarterbacks like big targets in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
And none of their wide receivers are huge targets. They're speed targets. They're edge targets. I mean, it's unfair to Jamar Chase, who seems to catch everything. But again, you look at T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. They're not end zone targets.
Right.
They're from 20-yard out targets to score touchdowns. And they will. They all will. That entire offense will score touchdowns all year long. But that's big target in the end zone. Quarterbacks who have strong running games and love 5 wide sets love their tight ends in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
That's where both of those players are going to have their upsides. Are they going to have every week great? No. But if you see that they're playing the 32nd ranked team against tight ends, am I adding them that week if I got that open spot? Yep. I'll take them on a flyer.
Even if
and
they're
I think
just going against a bad defense in general, where you think they're going to be in the red
but-
zone a lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
So figure that out. But yeah, you're definitely watching them. I think that's a big opportunity with how shallow tight end is. Most people roster one tight end.
Right.
He's going to have a bye week. He might get hurt. You're going to be looking.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I don't know if that one got picked up. I farted again.
That one did.
Okay.
Yeah, that one did.
That one
Yeah,
did.
that one you got. That one's
definitely
definitely on
did.
there.
Yep.
That one's definitely on the show.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm glad. That's going to be my closing note, if you will.
All right.
So, this is going to wrap it up for us this evening. Next week is the draft, so that's going to be the episode. I'm going to be joined in... I was going to say in studio, but that's not accurate at all. In my bedroom.
In studio apartment.
No, I don't have a studio apartment. I have a 2-floor apartment. It's nice. My roommate Mike should be in here with me during the draft, along with my brother Matt. You guys have met both of them before.
Mike not have his own computer?
What?
Does Mike not have his own computer?
He does have his own computer, but it's literally from like 2009.
So you're all just gonna sit in the same bedroom together?
I don't know, but his webcam doesn't work.
Ask me for a friend.
His webcam doesn't work, so, and I don't have a spare one to give him either. But yeah, I think if he's going to be on, he's going to be in here, probably here, and my brother will be here.
Make sure you put Mike in between both of you, so we can have a Murray sandwich.
No, that'd be a Mike sandwich
with a slice of McCarran.
Well, you don't call a sandwich based on the bread. It's not like I have a
white
white bread sandwich. I have a salami sandwich. It's whatever in between. So it'd be a Mike sandwich on 2 slices of Murray.
No. Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
You guys are very white bread.
We are very. Yeah. Hi. You're one to talk. So.
Bread.
All right.
Wow.
So we will see you guys next week for the draft. Hopefully it's a good one. I don't have a first round pick. Pat picks at the 106, I believe. Okay, before we go into the draft, one thing that we have to do, our league mate Rory has been expecting the birth of a baby. So he was not fully paying attention to his keepers. And because this is a $5 league and we're doing this for competitiveness for this podcast, we did allow him to adjust 2 of his keepers. So he did not keep Brandon Ayuk, and who was the other person he did not keep anymore?
Michael Carter,
and he decided to keep Tua Tagovailoa. I can't say his name, but I can say Guebenon. Don't know why.
Maybe that's because no one talks about Tua.
And then Brandon Cooks is going to be kept.
There goes my draft pick.
Right, so Pat's going to be tilting a little bit at pick number 6, I think, because he was probably aiming for him, but he'll probably wind up taking one of those rookie wide receivers there unless he does something
Depends
else.
What falls. We'll
Depends
see
on what falls. Yeah.
Like we said, don't overthink early round picks. You can't do that. You can't.
You just got to go with the acronym of KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah. So I will sign off now. This was under an hour. As I go blurry, this is perfect timing. All right.
He's fading out.
I'm like, is it like the Back to the Future thing? Does that mean I'm disappearing?
Someone go play some music or something.
Okay. Johnny B.
Does that mean someone's trying to bang your mom in high school right now?
All right. Well, okay. Bye. Say goodbye, Pat. Say goodbye, Pat. Pat, say goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
Thank you.